Horse, a game that came out in 2022, decided to make a few highly requested updates to their game, which is good, because the game was completely broken upon release. With the amount of problems, many people felt like this game didn't even go through a basic Q&A or beta testing. And they would be right. With save files disappearing, gameplay so broken you couldn't progress, and a world so buggy that you could barely play, the game properly felt closer to beta than release. Oh, and the free asset packs they grabbed from the Unreal Engine store to drop in the world also did not help matters. Asking up to $50 for a game that's broken and cheaply made is a bit cheeky, wouldn't you say? But they have heard the cry from players and decided to update the game, adding some amazing things like being able to see our horses in the paddocks, fast travel points, and gameplay that is not broken, and foals that you now have to pay for. All of the above really does help fix the game, but yes, you now have to pay for basic features that should have been in the game since the get-go. This was probably the worst thing that happened this year with horse games, so I couldn't not talk about it, but I'll leave the foal and DLC situation for the end of the video. For now, I actually want to review the game as it currently is, because despite the scummy practices, I do try and be fair, and I think that a lot of these things that they added and fixed really does help the game. But before we do get into that, I'd like to thank all of my coffee supporters for being more awesome than Dragon Age Dreadwolf finally being released, with Blackwall and Sten coming back as party members. Please? Probably not gonna happen, but a girl can dream. On with the video. Okay, let's see if that... I remember the motion was really weird. Oh, that's much better. Oh yeah, no, camera is already doing a lot better. First up, we have a better camera. With the first camera physically made you nauseous, this one has been stabilized and does not glide as much anymore when turning. This is of course brilliant, as a bad camera can easily turn potential players off of a game. A camera is an extremely important if mundane part of gameplay, and I'm glad that they fixed it, because a game that makes people nauseous is going to hinder that game's success. The main feature they added are fast travel options, which enables you to jump between these states you can find in the game. This is good. We did need some waypoints, because the world is so corridor driven, quickly becomes frustrating, mindlessly retracing the same roads over and over again. Backtracking the game. Having the option to quickly fast travel from one point to the other does help a great deal. Thank you for that. However, it does have its downside. I think what players really wanted were fast travel points to specific locations they would frequent, like this town, a place you need to go in order to make ingots to build structures. The reason why a fast travel point here would have helped is because, well, just look at this town. It's a maze, and it's a boring, mindless maze on top of that. It's even worse than the actual maze in the game, which I can thankfully still jump on top of to avoid entirely, and which seems to have been fixed. No more gaping holes. Yay! Speaking of the town though, we still have got floating windows and empty windows that have been there since the launch of the game over a year ago. I suppose fixing windows is a bit of a pain. But the fast travel points, although it is still not where it would have worked best, at least offers some fast traveling, which was sorely needed for this game. Next up, they fixed the horse behavior. Now, just for brief context, in the original game, horses would freak out over every single time they failed a jump and every time they jumped. Meaning every time you were in any race, your horse was having a heart attack by the end of it. Meaning every single race ended with you cantering very, very slowly to the finish line, making it difficult and sometimes practically impossible to win or enjoy any of these races. They removed that dumbass feature, at least in the races. Now you can jump, run, gallop to your heart's desire. And even if you fail a jump, your horse won't be having a panic attack because of it. This has a wonderful effect on the races, making them fun, quick, and crisp. I actually had a lot of fun with the races because I could suddenly appreciate the speed. My horse could go fast, and it's, like I said, a lot of fun. Also, I think they might have tweaked the distance you need to jump, because I didn't experience as many faults as I did with the previous edition of this game. All of this actually fixed the dreaded Lily race. For those of you who might not know, many, and I mean many, players got stuck on this race when the game launched. Because the horse freaked out every time you made a mistake or even jumped, the horse would slow down when it became stressed, and getting a good time on this race was next to impossible. That is not to say that horses getting scared have been removed entirely. Instead, horses will freak out when they are put into stressful situations. Like if a horse is afraid of the dark and you ride around in caves, it will start to panic. This is much better and makes a lot more sense. The petting minigame is still a pain though. My god, this gets annoying fast. I just want to pet the horse from the saddle. But good on them for making a functioning game, the thing we all wanted to begin with. Next up, they added the ability to see our horses in the paddock. This was missing from the original game and was an extreme annoyance, as we could build paddocks, but our horses were never in them. We had ghost horses. We had to pretend they were there. You know, like we did when we were kids.
I have 50 billion horses.
They have now updated the game to include horses walking around in these paddocks. Not only that, but you can ride into the paddock and interact with the horses and even mount up in the paddock. All of this is great and adds some serious flavor and life to the game that was sorely missing from the first version. Oh, the horses are rolling! That is so cute though, look at that! I will say though that the addition of the paddock only drives home the fact that the game was launched in a very early state. Not being able to see our horses in the paddock was really strange feature to remove, especially since the game world felt so empty and desolate already. But it is a wonderful feature and I'm glad they added it. Finally, they added the Arabian Horse. I have a few thoughts on this. Alright, so let's take a look at the Arab. Let's take a look at the Arab. That's a good start. That's a real good start. Oh my god, look at that. Look at that. This game is so broken. Firstly, the horse looks okay, but not great. The butt is seriously high, and the head feels too big for the body. The horse just feels a little unbalanced. Also, when the horse does freak out, the tail lifts awkwardly, breaking the tail. It's not great. The animations are fine-ish, and the model is at least cute, but it brings into stark focus how badly designed the Irish cobs are. You can see how little effort was put into the Irish cob. A DLC they asked the money for, keep in mind. The tack still doesn't fit this horse properly, and putting it next to the Arab, it becomes so much more apparent how rushed these poor cobs were in the design. But if you do like the Arab, then yeah, get it. I don't think it's worth it. It's just another cosmetic update, but at least you do have an Arab in the game. Now, seeing as I've already been a bit negative, let's get into the negative points, or the more certain negative points. It does not look like the map's been fixed. Wait. Let's try it right here. All right. Nope. The map is still broken. In the first version of the game, your marker did not appear on the spot it should have and was usually a good few meters outside of its position, but this is only the tip of the iceberg. Bugs are still full on in this game. I'll show a few. Yeah, no, it's still there. He's in the wall. Maybe if I can... Oh, there we go. There he goes. I am clicking left. I'm clicking everything I can. It's not working. I can't build a home. Oh! Lovely. Would you look at... Sorry. She lost her horse again. Oh, and my horse switched out as well. My head is in the bowl. Oh, you gotta love this game. You gotta love this game. You gotta love this game. Oh, there we go. Breed horse. Okay, great. It's gone darker. Like it's gonna shade darker. Oh, that is... Look at that bounce! Kidding me right now? Look at that. Let's see if they fixed the wall here. Oh no, they did not fix the wall. You can still just walk right through it. Alright then, thank you for playing. Let's go. And we have even more. The Irish cob tag doesn't only not fit, but the tag from the DLC doesn't always appear in-game. The special event markers, or the marker Kiki leaves on the map for you indicating high quality horses, still does not trigger. You never find any horses in these areas. Another bug that comes from the very first launch of the game. Holy damn. Some players are also complaining that they can't breed because an NPC horse is currently occupying the stable. And finally, we have the newest bug where the game crashes if you try and sell a horse. Broken is an understatement, but my most frustrating moment with this game was the blueprint. I never received the blueprint from the mayor. I even went back to the office. I've looked around, I've spoken to him again, but the blueprint never appeared. Meaning I cannot, as of now, build a home. Meaning I can't change my clothes. But with all of that said, should you buy this game? I'd say purchase the game on a discount, do not spend a full $30 on this game. It's really not worth it. Despite all the fixes, there are still a lot of things that need to be fixed, especially these game-breaking bugs, and of course the fact that they decided to remove features to sell them later. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, or rather the greedy game developer in the room, the DLC and microtransactions. Before I get into this, there is a bit of an argument over what can be considered microtransaction and what can be called DLC. The best definition I found was that microtransactions denote not necessarily small transactions or items, but rather items that can be bought repeatedly. For example, equestrian in the game has a multitude of tack and clothing items you can purchase. These items, although you are buying different colors, are essentially the exact same item, just in a different shade. So you can make the same purchase over and over and over again. DLC, or downloadable content, rather denotes purchases that add proper, you guessed it, content to the game. This can include entire maps, new storylines, new features, and new gameplay, and so on. These are usually not repeatable, because once you've purchased the content, you can't buy that same content later because you already have it. The line is blurring between these two in many regards, but I think the argument that one is repeatable and the other isn't is a fair argument to make, as microtransactions are usually part of mobile games, and mobile games do need you to make repeat purchases over and over. I would also add to this argument that DLC tends to have a better quality and value than microtransactions for its price, and usually expands the game quite considerably. But with these very boring definitions out of the way, did Horsetails add microtransactions or DLC? Well, both, and that isn't even the main problem. The Arabian Horse they added can be considered microtransaction, because the Arabian Horse offers nothing more than just cosmetic updates, and the cob functions the exact same way, so we can then make the argument that they are both microtransactions. And they are possibly the first two in a line of repeatable purchases, horsies.
Horses.
And this is being added into a game that you already paid fully for. This is very disturbing and echoes the level of greed companies like SSO feature. They also ask a full price for the game, and they ask extra for horsies. But at least SSO is consistently updating the game, and has a full-on multiplayer feature for players to enjoy and interact with. So basically, the game is still alive, whereas Horsetails is technically dead. It's a single-player experience, so you can't really run around showing off your new cosmetic, it's just for you, which is why it makes the fact that neither the Cob nor the Arab brings anything different to the table even stranger. When Rival Stars, the racing game for mobile and PC, added Arabians to their game, they made sure to give them a special flair to make them more unique. Their endurance is higher than the Thoroughbred and the Self Francais, which was another breed they added and ensured had a specific skill set, meaning these horses are unique and they don't cost extra. Horsetails decided to just go the cosmetic route, like with a mobile game. And that would be bad enough if it didn't get worse, because now they're selling full-on features as add-ons to a game that was launched unfinished. The Foal DLC offers foal interactions and further lets you boost stats if you take care of the foal properly. This is a wonderful addition to the game, but this should have been in the game since day one, because the game has breeding. You heard that right. This game has a breeding mechanism, but they never added the foals when the game was launched, because clearly it had been rushed near the end, which means foals were possibly removed from the game, held back, and are now being sold as a DLC. Because I have to ask, why are foals an integral part of breeding being kept behind a paywall? The game was not completed when it was launched. This is proof of it. The fact that foals have been made and deliberately put aside to be sold later is downright despicable. There is nothing wrong with adding DLC to a game, I want to make this clear, but adding a DLC that technically should have been part of a game, a feature that goes with breeding, to a game that was unfinished, that you asked full price for and that you're asking more money for now so that we can get the completed experience of a game that we should have had full access to since launch, is just so greedy. And for that reason, I won't be buying the DLC or anything else from this game ever again. It is just such a blatant money grab, and it's a disappointment. Because for just a brief, shimmering moment there, it almost seemed like Horsetails, a game that had completely crashed and burned on launch, was almost redeeming itself. But nah,